right, today what we're going to do is we're going to carry on with 8.1. We're still looking at properties of positive and negative exponents, and today what we're going to do is we're going to look at positive exponents. Now, day 1 we did yesterday, and let's just review the rule just quickly. When I have 3 to the second power times 3 to the third power, how did I solve these? What did I do? Yes.
Add the exponents.
I added the exponents. So it was 3 squared plus 3, which is really 3 to the 5th. And remember when you did your homework, I asked you to write the original problem, and I also asked you to write the answer. Okay, that's all I needed you to do. All right. So if you look at the second problem, this ended up being 7 to the 8th. Right? You'll notice that I have them on the board right now, so you can refer to them as you work. Right? Then we did the next rule. And when we had something like this, what did we do here? Yeah. We added them. We multiplied them. So anytime we had a power to a power, or 2 exponents up to the right together, we multiplied them. So it was 5, and then it was 2 times 3, which ends up being 5 to the 6th. Okay? And if I did this one, this would be n to the 14. So that's all reviewed from the other day, right? Today what we're going to do is we're going to go on to day 2, and there are going to be 2 rules. One of the rules is this. It's called power of a product property. And what this is it's kind of like the distributive property. We're going to distribute the exponent through the parentheses, okay? So when you have a problem like this, this ends up being 4 to the 17th times 16 to the 17th. And that's it. You're not going to multiply them out. And students will ask me, Mrs. Medvick, how do you know whether you multiply through or not? Well, it kind of depends upon the problem and what they're asking. Okay? This is what you do first. This is not order of operations. Right? Let's take a look at this next one now. I'm going to distribute this exponent, and you'll notice that the exponent is a 2. Do you see it? So I'm going to take negative 3, and I'm going to make sure that it's in parentheses. And I'm going to take that 2, and I'm going to make it belong to the negative 3. And then the 2 also belongs to the r, so it's r squared, and it's s squared. And my s, I put a little line through it so it doesn't look like a 5. Oh. Okay, now you'll notice that I distributed my exponents. My 3 is out front, which is what I wanted to do. And then what I'm going to do is just going to bring this through. So negative 3 in parentheses squared is, what's negative 3 times negative 3? It's 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. It's not 6. It's not negative 9.
Oh,
okay, and then I got r squared s squared, and that's my answer. So I take the exponent and I kind of distribute it, and then I bring it together at the end. This is what kids will do. They'll write the problem down and they'll write the answer down, and when I ask them where's your work, guess what they tell me? I did it in my head. I don't want you to do it in your head. I want you to write this down. So make sure that you do that, okay? Let's go to the next one. Right? Notice that the negative is out front. Do you see it? It's kind of like a bumper. So just put the negative out front. I'm going to take 3 squared. Now the 3 doesn't have to be in parentheses, but I tend to like them in parentheses, just so that I don't forget. And then I've got r squared s squared. Now I'm going to leave the negative still out front, like this. What's 3 squared? 9. And then it's r squared s squared. you'll notice that my answer on this one is negative, where the problem before that, it was positive. So kind of depends on where that negative is. Questions so far? Okay, let's go to the next one, okay? Now, when we do this, there's some steps that I want you to follow, all right? And I would write them down somewhere so that you can see them. The first step is going to be to distribute. And I usually work up and down on these, right? So I'm going to take the 4 and I'm going to distribute. So I get 2 in parentheses to the 4th, x to the 20th, because 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so I'm going to distribute. The next thing I'm going to do, number 2, is I'm going to do reorder. And what that means is this. Do you see how my 2 is out front? I want that out front. And then I want to make sure that I put my different variables together. Now this one's pretty easy because it's all ready to go. But you'll see where that comes to play later. Number 3, I want you to simplify. With the exponents. Right? And it doesn't really pertain to this problem, but it will be coming up. And then number 4, I want you to multiply. And that brings me to this problem. So you'll notice I got 2 to the 4th power, yes? So I've got 4 2's. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. So my answer here is 16 x to the 20th. And that's my answer. You gotta be careful because students will go 2 to the 4th. Oh, it's 8. No, it's not. There are 4 2's. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. All right, let's go to the next problem. The first thing they're telling me to do is to distribute. All right, so I've got a 3. See that here? I'm going to go 3 to the 4th, y to the 12th, times y to the 5th. There's nothing there. So I distribute the 4. And some students will actually circle it because it helps them remember what to distribute. Okay? Right now, I need to think about reordering. Notice that my 3 is out front and my y's are next to each other. So that's a good thing, and I'm just going to let it be. Now I'm going to simplify with my exponents. This is what it means. I'm going to leave my 3 to the 4th, and I get y to the what? 17th. Because 12 and 5 are 17. Remember how we added those exponents? I took that rule that we first learned and I added my exponents. Right? And then I multiply. Now think about that. I've got 4 3's. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81. So this ends up giving me 81 y to the 17th. You could also go 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27 times 3 is 81. We okay? This is it on that one. Okay? All right, let's go then to my next one. Right? It tells me to do what first? What do? I distribute. So I get x squared times 3 to the 3rd, x to the Ninth, because 3 times 3 is 9. Y to the third. We okay? All right. Now, what's the next step? Reorder. Now, do you see how my 3 is stuck in the middle? He wants to come out front. So I'm going to go 3 to the third, x to the second, x to the ninth, y to the third. So I put my number out front, I put my x's together, and then my y. And I tend to do my x's before my y. And the reason why I tend to do my x's before I do my y is because they like it in alphabetical order. So when you do your answers, they're in alphabetical order. Okay? So now, what do I do next? I need to simplify the exponents. Yep. So I get 3 to the third, x to the 11th, y to the third. Okay? And then, what am I going to do? Multiply. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. So 27x to the 11th, y to the third. And I'm done. Okay? Now, if you have a calculator, there is a key that looks like this, or sometimes it's like this. These are your exponent keys. You've got to be careful in how you do this, though, because I had a student earlier today that had this problem. And it was supposed to be in parentheses, but they didn't put the parentheses in. They took negative 10 squared, and they're like, oh, but my calculator says that it's negative 100. Well, does that make sense? No, because negative 10 times negative 10 is positive. And they're like, well, but my calculator said. The problem was is you did not put the parentheses in your calculator when you did this. That's why they got it wrong. When you do these problems, make sure that you follow those steps. If you don't follow those steps, it becomes very confusing quickly. And we add more rules tomorrow. Okay? Any general questions? All right.